Well, Joan, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
It's so
Thanks for
good to
having
have
me
you
here
on.
again.
Yeah, good to have you on again. Looking
Yeah.
forward to talking about your new book. But before we get into your new book, give me the best piece of advice you've ever received.
I think it was probably from my mother. We was, I think, the foundation of all my assistance in getting to everything I did. She told me to think of God as really my best friend.
Oh, I like that.
So
Yeah.
I think that she didn't realize, but I think she made such an impact on so many lives by the way she acted in her life.
Wow, that's a neat. I like that one. I have to save that one.
Yeah.
As you think about your life, who are some role models for you and some mentors along your journey?
I would say my husband, throughout my strawberry recovery process, he was there for inspiring me and keeping me cheerful and motivating me to keep going, that kind of thing. As far as another one I would say would be crediting would be Father Bob. He was a hospital chaplain, and he used to pop in it, and he talked to me almost every day about keeping up their spirituality and how I should like think of it as like a roller coaster ride that I should hold on to hang on to the ride. So even when there were is my darkest moments when I couldn't speak and I couldn't move and I was too sick for visitors, he would just pop his head in and give me the emotion like hang on to the roller coaster.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. I like that. So, Joan, I know that your first book was really about your personal story. So, kind of tell us your personal journey.
In 1990, I was diagnosed with terminal leukemia. So that when I was 29 at the time, I had three small children. Actually, I was just nursing the 4-month-old when I was diagnosed in Mercy Center, Illinois, Aurora, Illinois, I should say. Um, the doctors didn't give me to the end of the week to live. They actually delayed the chemotherapy, thinking that I might put me through the added aggravation and terminal of the treatments. There was one other person with my type of leukemia, and then she passed away. So I was the only adult survivor of that type of leukemia. The one that I had is prevalent in children. It's ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So they really don't know how to treat a 29-year-old. So they just kind of did everything double, tripled, all the different treatments, just guessing what would happen. What did they have to lose, you know? Doctors from all over the country were actually calling my oncologist to see my response to the treatment that I was having. I don't want to ruin this story for everybody, but
Sure.
basically, we turn our thoughts of resignation, making those funeral arrangements, to prayers, and the prayers led to miracles. And I'm here for 34 years now with 7 grandchildren. So
Wow,
at the
God
time,
is so good.
I just prayed for me to be there for my 3 girls. Now I have all the grandchildren, so it's pretty cool.
Wow, it's amazing what God can do, and your
Oh
story is
yeah,
just a reminder of that.
right,
So,
definitely.
your first book was about that journey, right? Tell
Yeah,
us a little
the
bit about
first
your
book was
first book.
Miracles and the Power of Prayer. That's my focus on that one. Hearts Ablaze is more on rebels. After the dance was so successful, and I saw that it was being read worldwide, that God wanted to share the story, that I was more aware that it was creating rebels across the universe, and I just knew all the rebels that everybody else was creating. And it's so important to follow those nudges, and it's time for us to say certain things, do with certain things. So if you have a nudge to do something, follow it through.
So, your second book, Hearts Ablaze, The Ripples We Create, are about other people's stories, right? Am I not mistaken?
Yes,
So, tell us
exactly.
some of the tell us how you found those people to include in this book, because I'm always curious when you're doing stories about other people.
Right, right.
Either you have to have a wide range of people that you know, or God leads people to you. So, how did you discover the people you added to this book?
Well, some of them were from, started conducting presentations. So some of them came from people that I would meet at the presentations, that the reason why they were bothered for some reason. Maybe I was brought to help that certain person, or a lot of them are just social media contacts as well. Like, as far as the ones that are across the country, I haven't been out there like Bangladesh and France and South Africa. I don't go there, but we were just Facebook friends and emails and things.
So, as you think about the people in the book, is there one particular story that just stands out to you or struck you or moved you more than maybe some others did?
I know there's so many of them. It's just, to me, it's just amazing. Then God's got everything figured out. That every encounter we have, there's times that I'll just think, why am I even doing this? And then some person will come by and we just got chatting about things, and they're like, I really need to get that inspiration. I'm thinking, I know God brought us together for a reason, or else maybe I'm feeling down. And I'm thinking,
Right.
I just don't feel like really whatever. And I'll come across a review or someone else send me a message and saying that how they had affected their life. Then I feel like, well, I guess I need to just keep pushing and keep doing it.
So,
I'm trying to think of
yeah.
the last one that happened. We had some friends up. The most recent one that happened was we just had some friends over for dinner Saturday evening. And we got talking. She's very active in our church. And I didn't realize I knew they were in the choir, but beyond that, I didn't realize they were actually in an organization. You might be familiar with the Couples for Christ.
Hmm.
There's like there's Youth for Christ, there's Singles for Christ, Couples for Christ. She wants me to present to the Couples for Christ. So, again, you just never know. Um, the one in Bangladesh, I think, is probably the biggest one. I reached out to Catholic News World correspondent. I don't know why, but he was on LinkedIn, and I just thought I should do it. So I followed my nudge, um, contacted him, and we ended up discussing the story of the miracles. He ended up telling the Catholic nun in their area in the community about the story. So she can read English, but the community cannot. So she retold this whole story to the community because they're a Christian community, and they're in, of course, they're always being persecuted. They're hiding in their fear for their lives. So she wanted to let them know that see, prayers really do lead to miracles, and keep trying and keep praying. Don't give up. So I think that was my coolest thing.
Wow. So, when people pick up this book, what do you hope that they get out of this?
Um, I guess that everything we do and we say are making an impression on someone, whether good rebels or bad rebels. And we need to be mindful that we're spreading the good rebels. I also want people to know never to give up if they've been given a terrible diagnosis. Their only statistics what a physical mailing doctor has given them. Um, God has his other plans. So, you can kind of keep the diagnosis in the back of your mind, but don't roll over and give up. It's the God's out of plan. He knows exactly what he is doing. It's going to be up to him how it's going to work.
So, you kind of mentioned some of the people in your church who've read the book. How is the book being received outside, just in terms of what kind of response are you getting back from people who are reading it?
That's what I was referring to, all the emails, and because again, I'm getting them from all over the country now, so
Oh,
it's
that's
pretty
so
cool. And
neat.
I'm really good about it. It takes me a while, but I usually always not usually I always get back to them and respond back to them. The last interview, or like 2 interviews ago, I did before years was a woman in the Philippines, and somebody had sent me an email that saying that they had watched my podcast and felt like she needed to reach out to me. So that was pretty cool. It's like, so maybe one person was watching it or watching me anyway. So,
That's so great. As you were going through your cancer scare, you talked about how you were 29, you had little kids. kind of share with us, how did your family come alongside? Because it must have been really a difficult time for your family.
It
How did
was.
how did they handle all of this uncertainty?
Well, the oldest one just took over as being mom. She had, she was too serious, almost too very serious, too serious for her. And we ended up getting some help in the house because she was trying to take on too much. The middle one, she was off another, just doing play works and in front of this TV screen, play moves, and of course the baby didn't know. Siblings, most all the siblings were okay with it and they were supportive. I would say my husband was the very most supportive. There was a couple people that kind of shied away because it was too hard for them to handle. So that's the reason did put that in my book was because I want people to know that don't be the one to kind of pull back. That everybody needs you.
Wow. So now that you're how long ago was that? Probably you look like you're about 27 now, so I must
Oh
have.
gosh, yeah, you lie, you lie. 34 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So
like I said, all their immigrant girls are grown. So
yeah, all your girls are grown. So how did the so you say you were the first one with your age that had that so what did the
yes,
doctors discover from your treatment of that to kind of deal with
I
the
don't know.
oh really?
I don't know for sure what they discovered, but I'm sure they learned something. I've gotten a couple emails thanking me for going through everything I did because it probably made their treatment a little less difficult than theirs was, than mine was,
Okay.
I should say.
Wow, that's
So,
that's
but
great.
I
I mean,
don't know medically. I mean, I'm not in the medical profession, so I don't know for sure. I know my
right.
Peter in a medical textbook because I got four degree burns on my feet
Oh my
from
goodness.
just being in the sun. But when you have chemotherapy, you have to be careful. Well, now I know that. So I know my
Wow.
Peter in the medical journal somewhere.
That's always interesting. It's in a journal. So tell us, is there another book on the horizon? I know you've written two, and you've done really well with those. Is there another book that you're kind of? Can you say you're
I'm
always
kind of
working?
playing around with it. Yeah, I've got quite a few people that are kind of nudging me to marry another one. So one of these days, right now I'm just trying to keep up with the other two books. And like I said, I enjoy corresponding back and getting back to people, inspiring people. But I think that maybe that one may be a further inspiration. So I need two of me.
That's great. Do you have any blogs that people can also read to get if they want to follow along with more of your writing?
No, so that's one thing I've been done is because I don't think I've had extra time. I try to, like I said, get back to people, but I'm doing presentations and churches, libraries, hospitals, and that kind of thing. So use it any main general information would be my website.
Okay.
So they can follow me on the website.
And what is your website?
It's www.joanaubele, AUBELE, faithbooks.com. And then I'm also on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. But if you want to directly contact me, you can do JA the dance at yahoo.com. And like I said, that's for emails or whatever you.
Good. So, Joan, as you think about your life in this moment, what are you most excited about in this season of your life?
I don't know. I'm excited about life. So I don't know. I have no idea what's planned in the future. I honestly would like to do more public speaking further because I did quite a bit, but then COVID hit and then everything
Mm,
kind of slowed down. Then we moved. So I'm just now kind of getting my feet wet. But I was just at a show, like a fundraiser, and that pastor asked me to speak at the church. So it's slowly getting going, but I would like to do more of that. I would like to actually travel. And then maybe not out the countries, but travel within the states.
right. So, if there are people out listening to the podcast, you want Joan to come speak, you can connect with her on our social website.
Right.
So,
Or Day and the Dance would be a
right.
perfect one.
So, as you think about also the impact you've already had with your 2 books and the speaking that you do, as you reflect at your legacy, what message do you wanna leave for the world as a legacy?
Um, that I followed God's nudge to tell people the story. That I know I survived this terrible illness and all the throwing strokes and sepsis, emergency surgery. I was able to survive all that against all of that to because I knew I would be tell the story. So I feel like I want people to be able to say, "Oh, I remember." She said when they had the miracles occur, and she told us about it, and she taught us how to not give up, how to make sure we create the right kind of ripples in our lives.
Yeah, those ripple that's one of my favorite. I think it was a book or a poem about ripples, and you're right, you
Yeah,
never know, how small the pedal is, but how big the ripples can be. So I love the fact that
exactly.
that image of that you don't have to be a big rock to make ripples.
No,
You just have to be dropped in the water to make ripples. God
yeah,
decides how big the waves are.
right. Yeah, and we might not know how big the waves are until after we're dead and gone. But they keep going. Like if you think about it, like our children and our grandchildren, how we keep passing on the ripples, continuing the ripples.
Exactly. As we wrap our conversation up, if you could kind of give message to my audience, what key takeaways or insights do you want to leave on the minds and the hearts of the listeners?
Um, hmm. Again, it's pretty much the same thing as the other question was that I think because everything we should be more mindful of everything we say and everything we do. If we have a nudge to do something, follow through on it. Like if you think, someone looks cute, say, I like your hair, I like your purse, whatever. Maybe that person was going through a terrible day or some terrible tragedy. Just a little comment, positive comment, it's going to maybe make their mindset different for the day, maybe make them able to cope better. So I think you should always follow through. I've in my book just a little thing about how there was one time I kept on feeling just not to go back in the house and get my glasses. Or get something, and I'm like so aggravated. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go back in, and then I find my glasses and my reading glasses. I'm like, and I needed those. So he's like thinking, I told you, you just listen to me. So
Yeah. Well, Joan, thanks so much for inspiring us with your story, sharing with in your books how God has moved in your life, because I think we need to be reminded, especially as we're going through our own trials and tribulations, that God never leaves us or abandons us. And your story reminds
right,
us that even when we may feel hopeless, that God is always hopeful, because
exactly.
He is the master healer and guider of our lives. So your story always inspires me to remember that I don't know exactly what God's plans are, and
Yeah,
only He does. And it calls upon us to really trust that He will guide and lead us to wherever the
he's
next phase of
always
our
there.
life is.
Exactly, exactly. I picture him like when I was on the hospital. I used to picture him in the corner in the recliner, sitting there with me. When I drive somewhere and I'm like, I'm lost, I'm like, help me, Lord. He'll guide me. It's like he's like right there in the back seat. If you're just more aware of his presence, he'll be there for you. He's always there. You just have to open yourself up to it.
Right. So tell my audience again where they can find your 2 books. Give us those 2 books names again and where they can best find them.
You bought the name of the book? I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
couldn't
the
hear
name of
me.
the books.
Okay, The Dance, A Story of Love, Faith, and Survival. It's probably best to look at my name, Joan Aubele, Aubele, on Amazon because there's quite a few different the dance books.
Right.
Um, then Hearts Ablaze, The Ripples We Create. They're both on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Christian bookstores, some libraries,
And we encourage the
and of
audience
course,
to
email.
buy those books and also leave a review, because that's how the books get
Yeah,
popular on
definitely.
Amazon.
And
So
the
definitely
reviews
leave a
are so
review.
crucial
Yeah.
because when you look at the reviews, you want to read really what the book is about, more so than what the author is saying. Well, it's about this. It's really good.
Right.
This one actually speaks of the miracles, and people know firsthand.
Well, Joan, thank you. And we will be praying for that next book that you have come up, but we'll also be praying that this book gets some traction and people pick it up and learn about the stories that you've run across and can share with us about other people who God has moved in their lives as well. And maybe they'll reach out to you and give you some more
We're,
things to kind of encourage you for the next book. So we encourage our audience, if you want
yeah,
to reach out to Joan and tell her your story, to do that and connect with her on our social media and Facebook.
great. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Keith.
It's always a pleasure, Joan. Have a blessed day and blessings on your work.
Thank you. You too.